welcome to this week's class. My name is Francesca. This class is going to be a hip opening flow moving towards pigeon pose. So we're going to start by opening up the shoulders, waking up the core and the spine a little bit. Then we're going to work through some hip opening flows and some mobility practices, moving towards holding pigeon, and then coming out at the end with a few longer held stretches just to relax. So you will want a couple of blocks or maybe a cushion or a bolster just for the final couple of stretches. And we're going to start in a child's pose. So just coming towards, somewhere towards the back of your mat, big toes together, knees as wide apart as feels comfortable for you. And just walk the hands forward. Maybe just for this first pose, you just want to make a little cushion for your forehead. And don't worry if your hips aren't reaching your heels, or if everything feels a little bit stiff or a little bit much. You could keep yourself much more lifted if your low back is sensitive here. Really just taking a moment just to come down, be close to the ground. Take a few deep breaths. Just check in with how your body's feeling. We're going to be working a lot with our shoulders and a lot with our hips. So just pay attention to those parts of the body first and notice how they feel. Allowing your breath to be soft and deep. Feeling the expansion across your back in the inhale. Seeing if there's a little bit of a loosening, a relaxation in the exhale. And notice how you're feeling as you come into this practice. How's your emotions? How are your thoughts? What would you like to bring to the mat today? How would you like to engage with this practice? Let's start to walk the hands forward and just walk onto the fingertips. Maybe you can bring your forehead a little bit closer to the mat and just feel like a little bit of a pull there from the fingertips back towards the hips, lifting the underarms away from the mat. Just a nice long stretch. And then flatten the forearms down to the mat and start to shift the weight forward, coming through towards your forearms. A little cow pose, a little curve through the spine. And then tuck the pelvis and arch through the spine and start to come back towards your heels again. Walk the weight forward onto your forearms, find that little curve through the spine. Tuck the pelvis, cat pose, and rocking back. Let's take that once more. Just checking in with the pelvis, with the spine. Next time, maybe shift the knees, more hip width apart, separate out the feet. Come up, let's find the hands. Keep going forward into that cat pose and maybe relax through the knees, drop the belly, keep the elbows bent, little sort of modified up dog. And then lift the core, press the ground away from you. Come back with that angry cat back towards your heels. Maybe you want to even tuck your toes here. Let's come again in the cow pose and maybe keep going. Drop the knees, bend the elbows. Press back through that cat pose. You could claw into your fingertips there. Just move through these poses, taking your time. Starting to wake up and really noticing the sticky bits in your spine as well. Is there anywhere that's kind of calling for a little bit of attention? Maybe you want to even pause and take a little bit of a wiggle, looking back over one shoulder, looking back over the other. Or pause in your cat pose, rocking backwards and forwards a little bit. Let's just take one more. And now bring the feet closer together, knees closer together, keeping the toes tucked. Come up here into your little broken toe for a moment. You might need to tuck the little toes under. And let's lift the arms above the head, interlace the thumbs, and just start to imagine you're trying to pull your hands apart, drawing the arms up, allowing the shoulders to come back a little bit, maybe a bit of a side bend. Shape them out, roll them out. Interlace the thumbs the other way. Let's just take it again, pulling the thumbs apart, pulling the hands apart, maybe a bit of a side bend. Opening up the shoulders and flicking the hands out. Let's come off the toes, tap them out a little bit. Spreading the hands, the fingertips nice and wide. Let's take some circles towards the left wrist, the right wrist, the right knee, the left knee. Take those circles in one way. You can make this as fluid as you like, just shifting the weight. And then taking it the other way. And coming towards center, just lift the right arm, float it round, and bring it back down to the mat with your fingertips facing back towards your knee. Take some tiny little circles there. And then float it back behind you and forward, placing it down. Left arm lifts, big circle. Bringing it down, fingertips facing back towards the knee. Take some tiny little circles around that wrist. Moving in both directions. And then float it back, up, and forward. Let's walk the hands forward a little bit past the shoulders. Tuck the toes, lift up, and find down facing dog. I'm just going to have to tuck this t-shirt in here. Just take a moment, walking out your down facing dog, feeling into the calves, the back of the legs, feeling how your shoulders are feeling. Can you wrap the underarms in towards one another, lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, getting really long all the way from the base of the skull towards the tailbone. Let's start to ripple through the spine again, taking that same sort of angry cat movement. You might need to walk the hands forward, calming down. And as you come down, drop the knees again. And see if you can find that little cow pose. And then tuck the tailbone and lift up to down facing dog. So very similar to what we were doing before. Rolling through like an angry cat. Drop the knees, drop the belly, lift the gaze. And then tuck the tailbone, engage the core, lift back, down facing dog. Let's take it a couple more times. Let's take it once more. Just come down to your knees for a moment. Rest the shoulders. Take a few circles. See how it feels, just getting your heart rate up a little bit. Starting to mobilize through the shoulders here. And then bring the hands back onto the mat, tuck the toes back into down facing dog. We're going to take that once more, but we're going to add on. So we're going to roll through, drop the knees, find your little cow pose, and then tuck the pelvis to neutral so that your weight is shifting towards your wrists, you're parallel to the floor. Bend the elbows, just take a little halfway push up, press back up, tuck the toes, down facing dog. 4 times more. So 5 in total. So cat, drop the knees, cow. And then find from the pelvis that parallel stance. Bend the elbows, push back up, using your shoulder blades there. Lift the down dog 3 more times. Just work at your own pace, work with your breath. Just find the depth that is right for you. 1 more. Lift up. Last one, and then drop the knees. Come back and sit on your heels. And again, take some big shoulder rolls here. Moving in both directions. See how the upper body feels. You could take a more flowing movement here as well. Put the hands together. Okay, let's move on to our hips. So again, we're going to come back to down dog. This time we're going to lift the right leg, bend the knee, and take some big circles first of all. Just drawing a big circle with that right knee, trying as much as possible to really isolate it through that right hip. Take the circles the other way. So rather than moving the whole pelvis, just moving the hip joint. And then straighten the leg up behind you. And we're going to step through to a low lunge. Dropping the back knee and make it a 90-90 lunge. So knee over ankle and hip over knee. Coming up, bring the right hand to the right hip, left arm up and over. Take a side bend, feeling down into that left hip flexor. Come up tall. And then open both arms out into a twist, facing towards the right long side of the mat. We're going to cartwheel and come back to down facing dog. Let's go to the other side. Left leg comes up, bend the knee, and take some big hip circles first of all. See how this hip feels compared to the right side. Taking the circles in both directions. Straighten the left leg and find your 90-90 lunge on this side. Coming up, left hand to your left hip, right arm up and over, side bend. Feeling into that nice long stretch through the right hip flexor. Come back up and then open into a twist. Right arm forward, left arm back, looking towards the left long side of the mat. Cartwheel the hands, down dog. Okay, let's add on. Right leg comes up, step it through. 90-90 lunge. This time let's raise both arms up above your head. Take hold of the left wrist with your right hand, pull up a bit taller, and then side bend towards the right. Feel that deeper hip flexor stretch. Come back up. Open to your twist to the right. Maybe stay here or drop the right hand to that back thigh, left arm up and over into your little exalted low lunge. Cartwheel the hands, down dog. Left leg up. Stretch it long, step it through. Find your 90-90 and come up. Both arms come up. Left hand takes hold of the right wrist. Bring yourself up tall and then side bend to the left. Coming up tall and open into your twist to the left, and maybe you keep going. Left arm down, right arm up, finding that exalted pose. Cartwheel the hands, down dog. Ooh,
Okay, let's keep going. Right leg comes up. Notice if it's easier now. Step through, this time high lunge. So we're going to come up, balancing on that right front foot. Left toes are tucked. Bend that back knee a little bit so that you can feel more like that 90-90 stance here, and you'll get more engagement with that left hip flexor. Arms coming up. Let's take hold of the right wrist with the left hand, draw it up. Nope, sorry, left wrist with the right hand and over to the right, side bend. Coming up, stretch up tall, find that open twist. Right hand to the back of the mat, left arm forward, find your balance. If you like, drop that right hand, left arm up and over. Strong pose. We're going to cartwheel, down dog. Stretch it out for a breath. Left leg up, step it through. Adjust your stance, high lunge on this side. Train tracks for your feet, bend that back knee, arms come up. Taking hold of the right wrist with the left hand, side bend to the left. Oh my goodness, I can feel that in my right hip so much. Coming up, open into that twist to the left side of the mat. Drop that back arm, left arm up and over. Feel that long stretch. Cartwheel, down dog. Oh, take a big breath, walk it out. If you like, you could take a little flow here. Through into plank, drop the knees. We're going to take that slow push up, but keep going. Little cobra, down dog. Let's start to move into pigeon now. Lift the right leg, step it through, and you're going to shift the weight forward as if you're in plank. Start to open that knee, so you're bringing the left foot forward towards your left wrist. But just don't force it, bring it just where it wants to be. Lay it down wherever it gets to, and then walk that left leg back behind you. Shimmy it back. So we're not dragging the heel forward, we're not trying to make a shape. We're laying the hip down wherever it naturally gets to. Here you could add blocks, pillows, bolsters, a rolled up blanket under that hip. Take a little wiggle, side to side. How it feels. Okay, we're going to start to come up on our fingertips, finding a really proud chest, like the pigeons at Trafalgar Square, right? Like, oh, I am a pigeon. And then start to walk the fingertips back a little bit and see if you can start to hold yourself in this position just with your glutes. Maybe you can even bring your fingertips off the mat. Notice if you start to turn at this point, the hips want to turn me to the left. Try and recenter. Use your glutes to keep yourself facing forward. You could interlace your hands here, draw the shoulders back if you wanted. Bring the hands down and then settle the hips and see if you've got a little bit more space there now that you've done that. Keeping the hands up, we're just going to start to draw the left foot in. So we're just drawing in through the glute there, through the quad, and then extending away. So flexing in and extending away. And if you'd like, you can start to bring the arm in as well, the right arm. So as you flex the foot and come in, bring the right arm in that big circle to touch the toes and bring it forward. Maybe take hold of the toes and just kind of kick the foot into the hand. Don't draw the foot in. Kick the foot into the hand, pull you up a little bit higher. Let the hips relax.
And then let that go. Don't slingshot, let it come down in a controlled fashion. We're going to ease out of the pigeon pose by walking that back leg in. Plant the hands, tuck the back toes, lift the right leg, come back to down dog, walk it out a little bit. Maybe bend the knees and straighten them. How does the low back feel? Let's lift the left leg. Bend the knee, bring it towards the chest, shift the weight forward, internally rotate till it's where it wants to be. Lay it down on the mat and walk that right foot out behind you, finding your pigeon pose on the left. Take a little wiggle. And then pressing the fingertips into the mat, find that proud pigeon, puffing the chest. Maybe start to walk the hands back. See if you can use glute strength here. Notice if you're turning, see if you can keep yourself facing forward. Maybe interlace the hands, other thumb on top, drawing them back. A lot easier on this side. You probably have those asymmetries as well. Pay attention to them. Walk the hands forward. See if you can settle the hips a little bit more. Start to draw that right foot in and extend it away. Maybe you want to add the arm. Left arm comes up in a big circle to touch the toes and then comes forward again. Maybe this time you want to hold. Kick the foot into the hand to draw the chest back. And then release gently, letting that foot come down. Left hand comes forward. We're going to wiggle ourselves higher up the mat until we can tuck our toes, lift the hips, bring that left leg out, stretch it all out in your down facing dog. Let's take a little flow, roll forward into plank. Maybe drop the knees, maybe you don't need to. Chest comes down, lower, release. Little cobra. Back up, down facing dog. Just going to do another little mobility practice now, coming into pigeon again. So this is from my teacher, Amy Carmody. I'm going to lift the right leg, step it through just about halfway up the mat, just where your hip naturally gets to. Keeping your weight forward onto your hands, press onto that right foot, lift the left leg about halfway. Bring it back down where it was before. Shift the weight back, bring the right leg out, stretch it through, three-legged dog. Bring it forward, shift the weight, lift the left leg, bring it down. Swing the right leg back, three-legged dog. 3 more times. I love this, which is why I've stolen it from her, but with citation. My brain loves it because it's really rhythmic. And I love the flexibility it gives me. Okay, next time after you've done 5, find your pigeon again. Same thing. Place the front leg. Walk the left leg back. Notice how pigeon feels the second time. It's a lot more comfortable for me here. And this time, I'm just going to fold down wherever you would like. Might just be on your forearms. You might be coming down with your forehead on a bolster, on your hands, and just resting. So sometimes those little drills
Not something we necessarily are used to doing in like a traditional yoga flow, but the body really loves to find safety in a pose, sometimes holding a deep stretch, which is what pigeon is, in stillness just doesn't actually feel very safe for the nervous system. And then we kind of tense, our body tenses, and we're not really getting the benefits of the pose. So actually moving in and out in that nice rhythmic way, loosening everything up, and also just communicating to the nervous system, like, it's fine, we can move into this pose and we can come out of this pose again. Enables us to actually relax and get a little bit deeper in the pose. It's like giving the brain some familiarity before we try and hold it. Take one more nice big breath here, just seeing if you can relax that hip any more. And then to come out, start to lift yourself up if you were down and just roll onto this right hip. And you can use your hand to bring that left leg forward. I'm just going to turn to face you, bringing the right foot in so you're in this half butterfly. Finding a nice tall spine, and then let's just take a side bend towards that left leg. Stretching. Nice release. You could come up, plant that right hand behind you, left arm sweeps up and over, maybe just taking a little baby wild thing. Bring the hips up towards the ceiling, nice hip flexor stretch there. Drawing it back round, coming to seated, and then just cross at the knees and come back to your down facing dog. Oh, see how that right side feels compared to the left now. Just notice the resonances in that right hip. And then let's repeat on the other side. So lift the left leg, step it through just about halfway. Shift the weight onto the hands and that foot. Right leg comes up parallel. Place it back down. Left leg goes back, three-legged dog. 4 more times. And make this 4. And make that 5. So now I'm going to shift the weight forward, bringing my knee towards my chest, laying it down, walking the right leg back. Find my pigeon. Just noticing how it feels. And then coming down just as far as is appropriate. You might not go as far on both sides, and that's okay as well. Find a pose where you can just relax and settle. Using your breath to find a bit more softness in the body here. Slowing down your inhales, lengthening your exhales. Just try and relax a little bit more. Notice if you're gripping, you're holding tension anywhere. Tops of the shoulders away from the ears. Tummy is relaxed. Pelvic floor is relaxed. Okay, we're going to start to come out. So start to press the hands into the ground to come up. Lift yourself up and onto that left hip. You're going to come into that half butterfly pose. That right leg is out to the side, left foot in towards the thigh, straight spine, and then drift that right hand down the leg, left arm up and over. Find a nice long side bend. Don't worry what it looks like, it's what it feels like that matters. Start to come up, plant that left hand behind you, right arm sweeps forward, hips pressing up towards the ceiling maybe, drop the shoulders back or the head. Big opening. Sweep the arm back. Calm down to seated. Just bring that leg in. We're not going to go back to down dog now, although you're welcome to if you would like to take a flow. I'm going to come down on my back now for our last couple of stretches, and I'm going to use the props. So take your time to come down. Take a moment just to settle your back on the mat. Feel the support beneath your hips, your shoulder blades, and your feet. And take the blocks. You might want just one, quite a low one, or a couple together, or maybe if you have one of those cork blocks, you could just decide whether you want like the low level or the halfway. We're going to bring them up underneath our sacrum, our tailbone there. The low black is nice and loose. Finding the feet on the ground, we're just going to start just in this supported bridge for a moment. Another option here, bring the arms above the head. And take a few breaths here just to let everything get heavy. And see if you can always inch your shoulders a little bit further away from your hips. Get a real sense of length through your spine. Feet are on the mat, but legs are relaxed. Shoulders having this gentle opening. Just feeling the resonances from all the hard work that you did, because it was quite a lot of hard work, kind of a tapas themed practice, so requiring persistence, determination. Noticing how your hips feel, your shoulder blades, back of your legs, all places that we opened quite intensely. Just bring the arms down and start to just bring the right knee in towards the chest. You might need to adjust your stance on the props. And you might just want to stay here, just drawing the knee into the chest. Or you could start to lengthen that left leg away, and it might stay down on the ground, or it might lift a little bit, and that's fine as well. Just drawing the knee into the chest, getting a nice long extension through the front of that left hip. And maybe you're pulling in more towards the chest, maybe it's more towards the underarm. Just see what feels right for your body. Relax that left leg. It's really where we're focusing the stretch. And then we'll just gently release the right foot, bring it back down, bring the left knee in. Again, you might need to adjust your props. Draw it in, have a little squeeze. Maybe you extend that right foot away. Maybe it's lifting. Maybe it's coming down to rest on the ground. Find where you want that knee to be in, towards the chest, the underarm. And then just relaxing that right leg.
Notice if your shoulders have inched up towards your ears. Just try and relax them. One more breath. Just release. You can bring your feet back down, come back into that bridge pose again, or maybe you want to walk both feet away. Take a long stretch all the way through the front fascia of the body. Slowly come back in. We're going to press the feet into the mat to lift the hips, slide the blocks out, let the hips settle. Just take any last little movements you want to take here. Maybe it's some gentle twists side to side. Maybe you want to take a happy baby, or maybe you just want to come into Shavasana. Just find a position that feels right for you. Take a few last breaths here and just notice how your body feels. And how is your mood? How are your thoughts at the end of this class? Sometimes we start a more active class feeling a little bit like we can't manage it, or it isn't quite what we need, but we persist with it and find at the end actually our nervous system really appreciated it. I'm going to leave you here. So take whatever kind of rest works for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this class, and I look forward to practicing again with you soon. Shanti.